says that those who say that if Mawlid is an innovation, then conferences are innovations as well, because the Prophet ﷺ did not conduct conferences. First of all, don't mix apples with oranges, unless you're making a cocktail, halal cocktail that is. Don't mix things up. Someone says, if Mawlid is an innovation, why are you driving a car? Duh. Cars, you do not get closer to Allah. It's not a form of worship that when you say, I have free time, okay, I'm going to take a couple of rounds around the block with my car because I'd like to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. These are worldly matters. We're talking about things that get you closer to Allah. Things that are considered part of a form of worship. I had an uncle, may Allah have mercy on him, who used to celebrate the Mawlid. And he was very active. And I was talking to him, this was like 20, 30 years ago. And I was telling him, uncle, this is a form of worship. He said, no, no, it's not a form of worship. I said, you're gathering and you're getting closer to Allah by it. He said, no, 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 but we don't worship Allah through it. So I said, okay. At the very end, when you mention, or the Sheikh mentions, the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, and he came out of his mother's womb, prostrating, pointing to the heavens with his sababa, saying, La ilaha illallah. Now this is fabrication, of course. But when this happens, what all of you do? He said, we all stand up. He said, why? He said, because of respect to the Prophet ﷺ's soul that is visiting us. So I said, what happens if I do not stand up? He said, you will be paralyzed. Now this is here in Saudi Arabia, and this is their belief, and you tell me it is not a form of worship? What does this have to do with making schools to teach Quran and Sunnah, making colleges, throwing conferences to gather people for ijtima', for learning the deen? This is different, totally different. No one says, we have a conference next week, we cancelled it. No one says, A'udhu billah, this is a breach of Islam and Iman. But if someone has prepared for a Mawlid and he cancelled it, what will happen? Coming every single year on the same time and considering it as a Eid. Because a Eid revolves, comes back time after time. So if you do it and then you say, no, it's not Eid, the Prophet gave us 2 Eids only. And this is why we fight what is known as celebrating the National Day or the International Day of Laborers or Mother's Day. All of these are innovations because they are revolving and coming year after year. So I hope this answers your question.